South Texas has a lot of coastline, and right now we're here in the middle part of the coast in an area known as the Coastal Bend. This area really is an interesting intersection of both built infrastructure and natural environment.
This habitat is critical for fallout migration. When these birds are flying, they hit the wind, they fall out. They've got to have cover, food, and water in order to survive.
This island used to extend all the way out to where that heron is standing on those rocks right now.
We're just experiencing a lot of shoreline erosion that's really losing habitat.
So whether you live right on the coast or 100 miles inland on a farm or in a rural community, what happens on your landscape does impact our bays and estuaries.
I've lived out here all my life, and this area is prone to flooding.
There are myriad problems, and I thought one of the big ones is fertilizer runoff. I have to do something.
It's so critical that we try to address these issues because the negative impacts that they have on the bays really do affect the communities that rely on them for their livelihoods and their local economies.
The corridor that we have is where oil meets the water. That's what's happening here. Our goal is very simple: to be able to manage both responsibly. I live just a mile from here, and not only is this my home and my walking terrain, but the peace that it gives me to see the wildlife is part of our own wellness here in South Texas. I'm Barbara Canales. I'm Nueces County Judge. The urban center of Nueces County is Corpus Christi, Texas. One of the exciting things that's happened during the last few years is that we've become the #1 export port in the country. And while creating a robust economy, we have not forgotten how important it is. If you really want to be a healthy economy, you want your environment to be healthy. A county is strong when their infrastructure is strong.
A lot of these houses get flooded every time it rains.
That means part of my job is to really protect not only our corridor, but be concerned about drainage, and its sister conversation is water quality.
You can see the damage that's been done by the flooding. The wall itself, you can hear that noise, is where it's separating out. Here's where the foundation is cracking and separating. The community lives out here, everything's on septic. So these septic tanks get inundated with water, they fill up, and then they flood out. Imagine this whole field covered in water, at least 6 inches to a foot deep.
Hi there. Hi guys. Do you know that you live in one of the most beautiful historical places in all of Texas? We believe the first settlements of Nueces County were established right in this area. It's only a community of about 100. And its importance to the region is, of course, agricultural. There's a tremendous amount of crops that are raised here. This is the site of our wind energy of South Texas. We have had tremendous water quality issues in Baffin Bay, which of course originate from Petronila Creek and even further upstream. So we have a lot of work to do.
Whether it's coming from agricultural land and runoff or faulty wastewater treatment systems, now we really are moving into a phase where we want to try to do something about it.
We are on Chapman Ranch, Texas, which is about 16 miles southwest of Corpus Christi. I'm Dana Orr. I own this 240 acres of Chapman Ranch farmland. Behind those trees and then down, and we will be at creek frontage. The Petronila Creek does not meet water quality standards. And one of the reasons is agriculture fertilizer. And I'm just going, oh, yikes. I know from my love of this land and agriculture that I wanted to conserve and preserve this. And we start devising a wetland project. This whole field will be a series of ponds and wetlands interconnected, including native coastal grasses. that helps clean water. So the plan is to take water out of this creek and put it into the wetland, covering the 240 acres, which is now in cultivation, clean it, and then return it cleaner, both into Petronilla Creek and ultimately into Baffin Bay. I want to do this because I care so much about soil, water, and air being decent for all living creatures.
You've got a lot of trash. It gets flushed down these rivers and through these stormwater drains. So, but that's where we have our own personal responsibility, creating programs where you're encouraging whoever that landowner is to create that natural vegetative buffer zone that helps improve that water quality before it gets to that tributary stream or river, wherever it's going.
3 years ago, every one of them was a Couch's kingbird. Now they're all tropicals. We're really focused on a very whole approach to managing our bay resources. I am Ray Allen. I'm the Executive Director of the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries Program, Corpus Christi, Texas. Everything from water quality to habitat to public access and recreation. Those are all components that really make for a healthy bay system and add to the quality of life for people that live here in the Coastal Bend and people who come to visit. We do a lot of public access and nature projects, get people outdoors to enjoy the resource. We believe that getting people outdoors is a critical part of managing the resource and developing a love for the resource so it'll be protected. From a habitat perspective, we're really blessed here to have a lot of rookery islands where we get thousands of birds, tens of thousands of birds nesting, and it's a real challenge to keep them managed. There's a lot of threats, but we're doing what we can.
Got another beautiful sunrise over Corpus Christi Bay.
I'm David Newstead. I'm the Director of the Coastal Bird Program.
We're watching great blues actually nesting. This great blue heron here has just found a nice little patch of sticks, and it's gonna probably wander over, maybe fly up to its nest or to a mate.
All these birds, they nest on these small isolated islands in the middle of the bay systems. That's the only place that these birds nest. We focus a lot on those because you cannot have any population growth if you don't have recruitment into the population.
Here's a great blue heron nest. We'd like to think 20 or 30 young great blue herons have fledged out of each of these nests here.
If those young birds aren't becoming older birds and having young of their own. Over the years, these islands that used to number in the hundreds have dwindled away. We have some bay systems that essentially have no nesting islands in them at all anymore. What's happened here, we've had a lot of strong storms this past summer. You can see the roots in the organic layer underneath here. It's been smothered by the shell that's been thrown up on top of it. We have 3 plants just right here that were fairly large and have supported a lot of nests over the years. And as you can see, this plant is dead. So bird populations have declined quite a bit since a lot of this erosion and loss of island habitat has taken place. We want to reverse those declines. We want to start seeing some positive trajectories to some of these species, and you simply cannot have that if you don't have suitable nesting habitat for the birds. We know that we can create more birds by building these islands. If you build it, they will come.
Challenges that coastal regions like this face include things like sea level rise, increasing numbers of hurricanes, potential impacts from oil spill, as well as just the increasing amount of development and industrialization. Ultimately, it takes resources if we're going to address the numerous challenges that we have here in the Texas Coastal Bend. Throughout the years, one of the best approaches for addressing some of our coastal issues has been a coordinated response from federal and state partners.
This is the commemoration of the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill, one of the largest environmental disasters in U.S. history.
You can never make up for an oil spill like this, but these funds have gone a long way in helping restore the coast and helping restore our county.
Being able to identify those projects and to show the return on investment will be very important for our Fed and state partners. I'm often asked when I talk about Restore Act and Deepwater Horizon, didn't that happen off the coast of Louisiana? What does that have to do with Texas? It has everything to do with Texas. And in fact, all the things that we love about living on the coast, particularly those beautiful species like our sea turtles and our birds, they were affected directly by Deepwater Horizon.
The sea turtles, the dolphins, the birds that we have, they don't know the distinction that leaked to injury out in the Gulf versus the state line, you know, of another state, whether it's Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida.
So those populations that were affected closer to Louisiana and other parts of the Gulf, in order for them to rebuild, they have to have source stock. So the birds that nest around here can serve as sources that would later populate those areas and build resilience in the population.
We need to make sure that people know that not only were we affected, but that we're in charge of our own destiny.
One of the things I'm starting to see that I'm really happy about that wasn't happening with early restoration monies, we're starting to see funding at the local level that the actual user, consumer, and producer in that economy can touch and feel, you know, and it impact their lives.
People have to remember that we have the largest coast of any state on the eastern seaboard. We want to protect the environment. We want to protect our wildlife. And we do a lot of things to ensure that that continues to be the legacy that we leave for our children. As a result of the coastal management program and obviously the catastrophic Deep Horizon disaster, Texas has been able to pull down those dollars that have been essential for the continuation of some of the programs that we are now benefiting from to restore some of our waterways. And it goes to ensure that Baffin Bay is restored and nourished, because otherwise we will lose all that ecosystem and all the fish. And so we do a lot of things to ensure that that continues to be the legacy that we leave for our children.
The water flows through the creek and it goes like this and it goes like this, and then boom, it hits the bay. You know, this is home to so many colonias. A colonia means, literally translated, a colony or neighborhood. But what we really know it to mean are communities that are completely underserved when it comes to the basic necessities of living. And so to be able to look at these children and to know that what these dollars can do is make a better life for them, and that they know it, and that they expect it, that's what means so much to me as an elected official in South Texas. Okay, y'all be good. And quite frankly, it not only inspires me, but it gives me more drive and more passion to see that it happen. It needs to become a reality. We think that we can do even more for coastal resiliency. And if you will trust in us, it will pay dividends. Something terrible and tragic happened off the coast in Louisiana. To be able to turn that on its head and pivot and say we Texans are invested in not only making sure that our Gulf Coast is preserved in a way that this habitat can thrive, but so that we can thrive along with them. We need these programs to exist so that we can plan for our future accordingly.